Welcome to Cryptic Surgery, where I share some of the best cryptic clues I've discovered throughout the week. And today I'm going to be going over some clues from The Guardian, The Financial Times, Private Eye, and The Independent. Let's get started. So let's begin with our first clue here by Paul in The Guardian. 20 across. Order after toilet breaks, certainly not fresher, for 8 letters. Now, this whole puzzle had lots of different clues and references to Cambridge, and especially to Cambridge University. If you grew up in that area or you went to Cambridge University, you might enjoy this puzzle. Lots of very interesting references, which all went over my head. I had to do a lot of Googling on that one. But for this clue, there is a slight reference to university, but thankfully not Cambridge specific. So let's try and break this down. Order after toilet. So this is going to tell us that order, or another word or substitution or abbreviation for order, is going to come after, same again, abbreviation or substitution for toilet. And those letters together are going to break, that is, they're going to insert themselves into another word, which could be certainly not. We don't quite know what the definition is just yet. But we do know that these letters from order and toilet are going to be in the middle somewhere of this clue, because they're going to be surrounded by something else. And so if we begin then with just toilet, standard abbreviation for that is WC, and we're just going to place that in the middle because we've got order after that. An abbreviation of order, especially order of merit, is OM. So that's something where if you see order out in the wild and there's an abbreviation involved, OM is a good go-to for an abbreviation. Now, with these here in the middle, they're breaking another word. Now, you can probably guess altogether what actually the word is going to be, in which fresher becomes our definition. A fresher being a newcomer, that is the word here, newcomer, to university, that they're starting in their first year. But that means the surrounding letters are, for certainly not, are N-E-E-R. And this I found to be a bit tricky, and maybe a bit loose, that it's certainly not as in never. It's N-E-E-R without the V, almost poetically. Nair, if that's how you pronounce it. So I'm still not quite sure on how that works. Maybe you've got WCOM breaking never, and that's breaking the middle, and it gets rid of the V that way. Of course, I'm thinking quite visually there. But there we have it. That is the solution to this clue. On to our second clue, also from The Guardian, but this time set by Fed. And we actually haven't had a puzzle from Fed for quite a few months, so this was a good one to get back into. And all quite fair clues in this one. 14 across here. Pay attention. Nothing's holding French and Saunders finale back, for 6 letters. Now, French and Saunders, of course, if you're not aware, is a comedy sketch show here in the UK. What are we going to find first in this clue? The first thing that stood out to me was French and typically if you're seeing like a language, or a word that's said like word in major city within a particular country, it is telling us to say what is that word in that language. And so in this case, French and is ET for eh. I don't speak French, maybe that's the pronunciation. And so we've at least got that, and I've put it there and not right at the end, because just before French and you've got nothing's holding. And so there's going to be another word for nothing, which is going to be holding on to, so as a container, the French and alongside Saunders finale. And Saunders finale, the last letter of Saunders is S. And so then we're after a 3-letter word that means nothing, which is holding all of this together, and that is nil, N-I-L. Netzel, not a word, of course, but then look, to round off, the very last thing we've got to do is send it all back. It's our reversal indicator, which gives us listen, which is to pay attention. On to our third clue now from the Financial Times, set by Mudd. And this particular puzzle is fantastic for double definitions. There were so many. And so if you're looking to maybe practice some double definition clues, this would be a good puzzle to do. And that is actually what I've got here for an example of one of those for 15 across. Put up with corporation for 7 letters. And by double definition, of course, we mean that there's 2 components in the clue. Maybe there could be more, but you're looking for that connector word, which could be defined in both ways. And in this case, for put up with and corporation, you're splitting it this way. Put up with is one component we need to find the definition for, and that should also be the same for corporation. Now, what makes this clue a bit more difficult is that the answer and the definition linking to corporation is a bit maybe archaic is probably too harsh. It's not something which you hear a lot nowadays. Or at least I certainly don't. But put up with is certainly going to be probably the doorway into what the answer is for this clue, because the answer is stomach. And to stomach something is to put up with something, but then a corporation is also means your stomach, but in the sense that as you're getting a bit larger around the middle, so that you're developing a corporation. Basically, it's a humorous way to reference it. So as I say, check out this puzzle for many more of double definition type clues. Now on to our fourth of 5 clues today. We've got this one from Private Eye, set of course by Cyclops. 1 down, infuriated police captain casually dumping Ian for 10. Quite a long clue. Now of course with all Private Eye crosswords there's political elements to them, of course, because it's a satirical magazine. In this particular puzzle, I found that actually quite a few of the references, unless you're closely really following current affairs, especially in the UK, a lot of Googling you've kind of got to do to work out what it all might mean. What I liked about this clue, and of course you're going, who's Ian? Well, Ian Hislop, he's the editor of Private Eye, and occasionally Cyclops will put Ian in an uncompromising position in some of his clues, or some of their clues, I should say. So now this is one of those as well, where something has happened to poor Ian Hislop. How are we going to pass this clue? Well, the first thing is that we've got deletion indicators here, so that police captain. So this these 2 words are going to be casually dumping Ian. And so what do we mean here? Well, by casually, we're going to be ending up with an anagram indicator of some kind. So we're casually looking at a particular word in a different way. But because we've got this deletion piece here, what I thought to do is just highlight how that all fits together. Police captain dumping Ian, we're deleting the letters I-A-N. And so Ian here, other than just the broader reference to the editor, doesn't mean anything else. And so you end up with police capped for our 10 letters. And then we're casually looking at this word, that's our anagram indicator. And you do get then this word apoplectic, which is to mean to be infuriated. And so that there then is the definition. For our last clue of the day then, set by Phi from The Independent, 22 across, article is certain to omit American responses for 7. Now this puzzle has a lot of religious references to it, and so if you enjoy studying especially Christian religious history, there might be some really good clues for you here. Even one clue was a really specific reference to an Oxford martyr, one of the few, I think, Protestant priests who were killed against the Roman Catholics. So worth checking out. I won't tell you who it is because I don't want to spoil it. In this case, there isn't a religious connotation, so we can approach it without that external knowledge. In this case, the tricky word to start off with, I think, is article. And here we're thinking article like a newspaper article. But actually, by article, sometimes in cryptics, can be the indefinite articles of a word, so like a and an, and also maybe even sometimes the definite articles like the. And in this case, the article in question is an, an. And so that is what's starting us off here. So an, certain to omit American responses. Now, does get tricky. So omit American. So this is going to be a deletion indicator of some kind. American often abbreviates to the letter A. And so we're going to be looking maybe for a 5-letter word where you've taken out the A of it. And look, the definition then is responses. So almost certainly then, I reckon there's be an S at the end of this too. That if it's a plural for the definition, the answer should also be plural. So how do we fit all of that together? Well, I'll show you, but then if you're still solving, you will see the full answer after this. It is, of course, in fact, the answer is answers. Now, how does this all come together? Well, if you're certain, right, so certain to omit American. Now, look, there's an A in certain, and so you could omit that, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. Doesn't get you the 5 that we need. Instead, if one is certain, one swears by it. That is actually the substitution that's going on here. A tricky substitution, I think. It swears is then omitting the A from American for swears, all together with the final solution then for responses is answers. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, especially because the core content of the Morning Cryptic channel is to provide beginner-friendly clues Monday to Friday. They get progressively harder as the week goes on. And then that culminates in our weekend cryptic crossword puzzle. So please do check that out. Hope you have a lovely rest of the day.